Hello, my name is Jenna, and I just finished this super cute, easy peasy baby quilt top, and now I just gotta finish it. And I have the perfect product to help you quilt it. This is the Hummingbird hoop, and it is super easy to use with your home sewing machine to free motion all of your quilts. If you love quilting on your domestic sewing machine and you don't want to have to move your quilt to a brand new frame to do some quilting, this baby is so fun and easy to use, and you can finish quilts of any size on it. So let's get into it. So when you get the Hummingbird, it comes with this mat, so you know exactly where to put your machine. I always like to put it right in front of the Hummingbird and Grace logo. Then we can attach this baby to our machine. To put the Hummingbird onto our machine, we need to remove this top bar, and it's as easy as just turning it, and then it comes right off. So then I can position the Hummingbird right where I need it. And then I can put this bar right in between, and there's these notches on the side that go straight down. They hook into place, and then once they are in place, I can turn it again, and it's not going anywhere. Because every machine has a different bed height, we want to adjust the legs so that it fits our bed height of our machine. You just want to make sure that you can slip your finger underneath that top bar, and then you are good to go. Now we're finally ready to attach our quilt. Before I throw my quilt into this, I just want to make sure that all of these bungees are centered, because this is what's going to help hold my fabric in place once everything is on. And what is cool about the Hummingbird is you can quilt from top down, left to right, or you can quilt from the middle out. For this quilt, we're gonna quilt from the middle out just because I find it a little bit easier to make sure my fabric doesn't shift a whole lot, even though I've already pinned it. If you wanna learn how to baste your fabric or make a quilt sandwich, we have lots of other videos on how to do that, but for now, we're just gonna start in the middle. When you're loading your Hummingbird, to figure out your quiltable area, you want to bring your frame all the way up and then all the way to the side, and that's where you know your quiltable area stops. So you're not going to be able to sew past that point. So I want to make sure to load on my quilt right next to that area so I can sew along that very edge. And then we've got these handy dandy quilt clips that you can go ahead and clip on the tops and then on the bottoms and the sides. Now what are we gonna do with all of this overhanging fabric? Well, that's what we got our bungees for. So I'm gonna roll these guys up, and then I got these bungees that hook onto the side of these clamps. I like to do the front and back first and then the sides, but truly you can do it whatever way feels easiest for you. And now the rest of my quilt is up and I can start sewing. How easy was that? I decided to pin baste my quilt, so I'm just taking out the pins from these sections to make it a little bit easier. And then if you're using the Hummingbird for the first time, it is difficult to know your quiltable area and where to start and stop. So I recommend, before you start sewing all the way, figuring out what that is. So I'm gonna go all the way to the side, and I notice my little bungee right here. I don't wanna hit that, so I just need to make sure to move my frame just a little bit forward. And I can go all the way to right here. And so for me, I'm making a mental note that I can go kind of to the edge of the square on my sawtooth star. If you want, you could also put a visual marker there, like a pin, or you can draw something with like a heat erasable pen. And then when I go all the way back, I know exactly how wide my quiltable area is. We're gonna start by bringing up our bobbin, and you can use your needle up, needle down button if you have one of those, but if you do not, you can use this back wheel and turn it towards the front of the machine. And then keep turning until that bottom bobbin thread pops up. And now we're ready to quilt. And for this guy, you can see right here that there is no extra fabric hanging on to the edge. And if you want it to be a little bit tighter, you can either extend your backing to fit over the clamp, but I don't like wasting a whole lot of extra backing. My fabric is so precious. So you could also use a leader or an extra piece of fabric to clip to that edge just to make it so it pulls a little bit tighter. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start with a basic meander. And what's cool about these is there are wheels on the bottom that move in all directions. So I can just move this any way I want to. You can hold it at the edge, you can hold it in the middle, whatever feels comfortable for you. And with this, you determine the size of your stitches by how fast or slow you are pressing the pedal while moving the machine. And figuring out your stitch length, it truly just takes time. So we're coming to the edge, I can feel it. And when we're at the edge of our quiltable area, I'm gonna stop and we're gonna rezone. So that just means taking off all of our little clips. And I'm gonna leave the needle down. You want the needle down. Then, because it rolls, all I have to do is roll it all the way down. I don't have to move my quilt, I just move it all the way across, and then I can just go ahead and re-hoop it all. And when you do your first quilt on the Hummingbird, I truly recommend doing a practice quilt first. Whatever you think could look the best with some mistakes, because the first time you do anything, there are gonna be some mistakes, and that is okay. Now everything is in place. All I have to do is keep sewing. And then I can lift these guys off again. And look, I can do it with one hand. They're so easy. These clips are super pliable, malleable. Then to finish off this row, I just move this baby over. I rehook everything, and boom, shakalaka. I can just finish off this section. And I'm done with my first row. That was so easy. That one brought pretty fast too. And now I'm gonna move on to the next row, except for the next row, I'm gonna have to bring up my bobbin. If you have a thread cutter, you can use a thread cutter. If not, you can just cut your thread yourself. It's easy. Then, because I started in the middle, I'm gonna work my way out. So I'm gonna start by going middle down first. And remember, every time you rezone, you wanna move your frame all the way forward and then all the way to the left side so that you know exactly where your quiltable area is. And then I can just move my quilt up just a little bit and clip her down. I'm gonna repeat this process with the next few rows, just sewing one row at a time, rezoning all the way to the end. And I'll see you back when I'm ready to flip it, and I'll show you how to finish the other side. So I know I told you that I'd go all the way to the end and then show you how I like to quilt and flip it and manage my fabric and all that fun stuff, but there's a cool trick I gotta show you. So at the end, if I were to clip this on right here, the end doesn't have enough backing fabric to hold on to this other side of the frame. So one of my favorite tricks is using a leader piece of fabric. So I have an extra scrap piece of fabric. All I have to do is pin it to the bottom of my backing. And all this is doing is it's extending our backing by like 8-ish inches. Now that I got the leader piece of fabric on, I can go ahead and hook the bottom up, and there is just the right amount of tension that I need to quilt the rest of this top. half of our quilt is done and it's looking so good, and I just wanted to show you why we started in the middle rather than quilting like we read, top down, left to right. Sometimes if you don't base your quilt just the right way, your backing fabric and your batting will shift a little bit to where when you start, it all looks really good right here, but then as you go this way, then your backing starts to shift this way, but then you sew the next row and then it starts shifting in a different direction. And then by the time you go from the top down, it doesn't look bad, but it just, something looks off on the back. And so by starting in the middle and then working our way out to both sides, the top and the bottom, what we're doing is we're pushing the backing and the batting fabric out, so there's lower chances of bunching in the middle. Plus, it's easier on fabric management. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip my quilt and I'm gonna start in the middle again. Now that everything is hooked up and beautiful, I'm just gonna continue doing the same thing I did before. That is how easy the Hummingbird is. It's literally just repetition. All I'm gonna do is keep doing my meander. I definitely still need more practice at the Hummingbird. I think that this quilt is the perfect practice, and I've noticed that as I've been doing my meander throughout this quilt, I've been getting faster and faster, and it's been getting a lot easier, which is really nice. And are you ready for some movie magic? I'll see you when this baby is done in 3, 2, 1. And ta-da! It's done! If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I say ta-da almost every time there is a reveal, but it's so fun and magical, right? And the Hummingbird made it so much easier to manage my fabric, to not be all hunched over, and my shoulders and my arms don't hurt after free motion quilting because I was able to just move this baby around. And when you're done, all you have to do is unrelease this, and now you can store it in a random closet until you're ready to use again. If you're interested in learning more about the Hummingbird, the link is in the description below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.